Hey everybody, welcome back to another very special episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. This is another Sidequest episode with a very special guest today, Jeffrey Johnston. Most of you probably know him as MaximusBlack. Jeff is a full-time streamer since September 2011, co-creator of Lag TV with series like When Cheese Fails, the Technical Alpha podcast, which I think you guys are over like 300 episodes now. Author of The Grind, released in 2018, but most importantly of all those things, a fellow Maritimer. So Jeff, welcome to the show.
I appreciate the introduction, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we talked a little bit before we were recording, but I found you've been streaming and doing YouTube stuff, Let's Plays, all those things like When Cheese Fails, like I mentioned, for over a decade now. I found your content through When Cheese Fails, way back in the day when my friends were getting me. They wanted a third friend to play Starcraft with them because one of my friends played Zerg, one played Terran, and they wanted someone to play Protoss with. So They talked me into, I played a little bit of like OG Starcraft, but I wasn't, particularly good. But they talked me into your stuff, and I'm pretty sure one of them is the ones that showed me your videos. And that got me like just way more into like the zeitgeist of StarCraft, and I just wanted to like consume as much as I could.
Awesome.
You were actually the first person I followed on Twitch ever, because in one of your videos you mentioned that's back when it was called like Justin.tv.
That's right, man.
Yeah, old school days. Yeah. I've been following you for a very long time, which is why this episode is very special for me. That you said that you agreed to come on. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, man.
So one thing I want to start with, because we are going to be talking about things you mentioned in your book, The Grind, which, by the way, for anyone that's interested in streaming or content creation, fantastic read. I'll put a link to the book in the description. But yeah, really, really enjoyed reading your book, man. Right there, yeah, right on display. So one thing I'd like you to tell me about is how your StarCraft obsession started with what I have to imagine is the worst possible version of that game, StarCraft 64.
Yeah.
Please tell me about that and how that happened.
Yeah, so always was a gamer kind of growing up. Never really got into competitive gaming until I experienced StarCraft, specifically StarCraft Brood War on the PC, but it began a little bit before that, which I talk about in the book a little bit. Me and my cousin Coleus, very, very close. He was always a few years older than I am. I do believe he's probably, 41 now? I'm 37. So there's a little bit of an age gap. So some of his taste in games skewed sometimes a little bit older than where I was. And I think at the time I was probably 13 years old. He would spend a lot of time at my house during the summer months. And we would always go to Rogers Video and rent video games.
That's a Maritimer throwback. Yes. Rogers Video.
So, Rogers Video. I don't know if Rogers Video was a thing that was like across Canada or was
I don't know either.
A maritime thing. But Blockbuster and Rogers Video. But at this specific case, we went to go grab StarCraft 64. And they were sold out because StarCraft 64 at the time was like the hot game. They only had so many copies at the rental place, and they were sold out. So usually my cousin would allow me to be the one that picked the game. He didn't really care all that much. He just wanted to play games, have fun. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, Coleus, why don't you pick the game? You pick the game this time. And he said, okay. And he gravitated toward, yeah. So I got the original copy of Nintendo 64, complete in box. I actually just picked this up about 6 months ago.
Oh, damn.
So this was the version of StarCraft that I experienced. There was just something about building up the armies and attacking your enemies. I've never played a real-time strategy game before that. This was my first real introduction into competitive gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I always played like a little bit of 007 GoldenEye and Super Smash Bros. And stuff like that. But this was like a sophisticated game where I felt like I was almost playing chess, but
Sure. Yeah.
with armies. So once I experienced this and we played it religiously, to the point where I got many, many late charges because I just wouldn't give the game back,
Sure.
and played it for quite some time, and then realized that it had a PC port. And during that time, I had finally gotten a computer. My parents had gotten me one for Christmas. And I said, okay, let me try this. So I went over to EB Games and I bought a copy of Starcraft. It was like a combo pack that I
Yep.
still have my original one in the closet.
Yeah.
And downloaded it, played it, and once I had it on the PC and I wasn't playing on those shitty N64,
Yeah. I can't even imagine playing it with a
controllers.
controller,
Oh,
especially
bro,
that controller.
it was brutal. It was so brutal. And now that I had a keyboard and mouse, that was it. And something I don't think I ever really said, maybe I did mention it in a StarCraft cast before, but the first 2 years that I played StarCraft for the PC, Brood War, I actually played with a mouse that had one of those balls. Do you know, like the ball that you used to?
So you don't move the mouse
thumb?
around, you just
You don't.
move. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the first 2 years,
Oh,
I actually
damn.
played with my thumb, and my thumb started getting really sore. Like I'd play the game for like 4 or 5 hours, and my thumb was just so fatigued. So eventually, I ended up getting a regular mouse, and that was my first taste into real competitive RTS. Going on ladder, trying to be a ladder hero. Played tons of fastest money map possible.
Yeah.
I may or may not have burned many copies of the game and give it to all my friends on the street. And that's what we did, man. And that's what really
Just sparked
started
it
it
for
all.
you. Yeah.
It sparked it all. Yeah.
So not only did you first play it with a shitty N64 controller, you then played it with like the worst mouse possible to play it with.
Yes,
but you somehow
precisely.
didn't bounce off it even after all that. So yeah,
That's right.
that's
Yep.
true love right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's I when I read that, I was fascinated that like really that's the version that hooked him. Okay, whatever.
That
I
was
guess
it.
I guess if you didn't know the game and you didn't have that point of comparison of like how it actually plays, like I could see how that wouldn't deter you yet.
That's right.
Playing
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that
No,
version.
I just fell in love with the music, with the lore of the game,
Yeah.
the way that it played. It just spoke to me. And I mean, yeah, like I look back at the back of this box, and I mean, it looks not great from where we're at now, but my God, the gaming experience was unlike anything other.
For
And that's
sure.
what honestly turned me into a hardcore gamer
Yeah.
and a competitive one. So, and here I am, 20 something years later, and I've built my career and in my
Yeah.
life off the back of this IP, and I'm very grateful for it. It's been a ride.
Yeah.
It's been a ride.
No joke. So talking about writing your book, I can imagine approaching streaming and like content for YouTube as like a personality is a big shift from like writing a book. Did
Mhm.
you find that was difficult switching between the two, or was like one kind of a break from the other?
Yeah, it actually happened at a time where I was feeling a bit burnt out from just the grind, literally.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on. And I always wanted to write a book. I growing up, I always wrote um nonfiction stories and things like that. And I said, you know what? Let me challenge myself. Let me try and write a book. And I gave myself a 3-month window. And what I did is every day that I woke up, I would force myself to go to Tim Hortons, and I'd sit in Tim Hortons and or Starbucks, but it was usually Tim Hortons. And I would try and write 2 pages every day.
Sure.
And that's what I did. There were no excuses. There were days where I went there sick, but I said, you know what, Jeff, you made a commitment. Go there, write this book, and try and write something that can help and guide sort of the next generation of streamers or entertainers. Um, you know, it's weird to call myself an expert in something, But I am well adversed, and I have
I mean, you've
spent
been doing
tens of
this
thousands
for,
of
over
hours.
10 years.
Yes. And so do I have all of the answers? No. Am I the most successful streamer? No. But I think I learned enough tools over the years to at least jumpstart people's either careers or hobbies or passions, and maybe have it turn into something. It doesn't have to be a full-time job. It could be a little side hustle. It could
Yeah.
be a passion, just like with your podcast,
Yeah.
right? You do it because you love it. If it turns into something, great. If you get a little YouTube paycheck at the end of a month, if it's $100, $50,
Right.
$500, $5,000, great. So I wanted to write something for people that wanted to take it serious, people that wanted to do it as a hobby, or people that wanted to do it maybe on a part-time thing, like kind of supplement. Hey, maybe I work part-time and I do this for 15, 20 hours a week. And I wanted to make it short, sweet, to the point, not too much fluff. And I didn't really want to make it too much about me. Although I do reference my experiences and things in the book, but I really wanted to do a guide. And at some point, I might actually do another one because the industry is changing again.
Yeah.
I mean, when I came out with this book in, I do believe, 2018, there was no Kick streaming. The
Right.
YouTube streaming was, very not great. Twitch was basically it. I think Mixer was still maybe
Mixer
in the
was
mix.
still there. Yeah.
Exactly. That's no longer a thing. But a lot of the philosophies and sort of the do's and don'ts are still apply. Many of them still apply even
Yeah, a lot of
even
that is
today.
still transferable for sure. And I do appreciate your level of I think you even said it in the book, like you quoted it as like a no bullshit sort of explanation of
Guide.
things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, and,
exactly.
and I really, that's why I enjoyed the read so much, is because it was like, I didn't feel like someone's trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
It was just like a real insight
Yeah.
into what it's like.
And I didn't have anything to sell. There was no
Right.
buy my course. There was no it was just I've always wanted to write a book.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, what do I know the most about in life? This career. Let's write a book, see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's done reasonably well. Like I think we've sold almost 2,000 copies, which
Oh, wow.
I haven't really done any advertisement. I only advertised it on my stream and my personal podcast for the first 6 months. I had it kind of sitting on a table.
Sure.
This is the first podcast I've ever been on where I've actually said, hey, my book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people can check it out. It's free to read on Kindle if you have that, or you can get the hard copy or soft copy. It's a short read. I think it's 115 pages, and yeah, it was a passion project for me, and I
Yeah.
stuck to it, and I did it, and I self-published. I learned the whole process.
Oh, wow, I didn't
hired
know
an
that.
editor. Yeah, I self-published it. I basically went out and got the artwork designed on some freelance website. I hired an editor, Adam Novawar,
Yep.
did a proofread over it as well. I managed to put in a lot of like the names here of all of the viewers that
Yeah.
have supported me over the years. Gave them some shout outs. Some names I still see today, some I don't anymore, but it's a reminder sort of where I began and sort of where I'm at. And I enjoyed the process. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, it comes across for sure in the read. It's obvious that you love what you do, and that, I don't know. I really like, and there's things that I learned from it that I'm going to try to apply to even the podcast, right? Because like you said, it's transferable in any kind of any situation where you're trying to put something online, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's actually a good segue about talking about your viewers and stuff for those shout outs. Because you talk about the importance of making connections with your viewers. How do you feel like achieving this has? How do you feel like achieving that step has changed over the years? Because, like you said, the whole streaming thing has evolved quite a bit since you started. How do you feel like that step has changed?
I mean, there are clear. I mean, when I first started streaming, you weren't even allowed to not be playing video games for more than 20 minutes. If
Sure.
we did what we're doing right now, we would have been banned on Twitch. We would have had a timeout, or on Justin TV, we would have had a timeout. So
Sure.
now, things have changed. I mean, my goodness. So you've got hot tub streams, you've got, you've got IRL walking around, you've got everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's very different. The thing that I've learned early on is, you want to make connections with your viewers, but you want to make them authentic. You want to give your viewers I don't want to say the best version of yourself, but you want to be just authentically you. And usually when you watch somebody stream or a YouTube channel, usually your audience is a reflection of you. If you are a high-strung, crazy, wild, sporadic type entertainer, you're probably going to skew a little younger. You're gonna have that sort of spam in the chats and the crazy stuff in the comment sections and stuff like that. But if you're much more of a laid back person, you're probably going to attract people that are on that vibe, that energy. My audience, even with Adam, are very different audiences from our different streams, because we're just different people.
Yeah, Adam's not wearing chainmail.
He's not wearing chainmail. He's not singing. At least he's not signing up to do it. He's done it a few times, but it's very different. And people gravitate towards that, and then some people gravitate towards me. And then when we're together, we're the yin and yang. You know, I'm more of the animated, the loud one, and he's more of the laid back, more sarcastic, dry humor. It's Adam, and this is me. So what I'm trying to get at is authentically be yourself. You don't want to try too hard to almost try and trick your viewers into liking you. Great ways to do it is to acknowledge them. If people are coming in to your videos, like if you might have 1 or 2 or 10 people on your podcast that are faithful. They'll just watch every episode.
Right.
They'll say something in the comment section. Oh, great episode this week, whatever. And for me, creating that connection doesn't necessarily mean you need to know who they are, but acknowledge them. Hey, thanks. I see you here every day.
Right.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. Especially early on when you're starting and you got 3 viewers, you get 10 views, you really got to nurture those 3 and 10 viewers, because if you don't, maybe there's a chance they could move on, and that snowball is going to be harder to sort of build up and get momentum and get larger and larger. So over the years, man, I have seen it drastically change. I find when you open yourself up a little bit more and say a little bit more about your life, you become more relatable. Sometimes that's a double-edged sword. Sometimes your views or the way that you live your life or stuff, if you share a bit too much, or maybe even if you just share minimal, some people might get turned off by that, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's a double-edged sword. Some people wear their heart on their sleeves and they just say, hey, this is me. I'm unapologetically me. You can either like it or don't like it and go somewhere else.
Right.
And I found, over the years, I've becoming a little bit more private in my life since I have a son. And, I'm 37 now. I'm not 22, 21, 23, this hungry, young guy that's, trying to make a name for himself. And, I'm still hungry and I still have that. But over the years, my interests have changed. And, I'm not screaming in chainmail anymore. I haven't done that in, 7 or so years. But, I still have people that will come in and ask me, hey, do you still do that thing? Can you do that thing? And, I'm always like, hey, times have changed. I don't even think that chainmail is going to fit on this frame anymore, But, and I think people can appreciate that too, because as you grow, your audience is growing as well.
Yeah, especially if they know you from those earlier days, then they have also aged 7 or 8 years, right?
Exactly, right? So, it's different for all streamers, and I think, or content creators. I think you just need to unapologetically be you. You need to just be as authentic as possible, and realize that not everybody's going to gel with you. Not everybody's going to, I don't gel with everybody. I tune into some YouTube channels and turn it off immediately.
Right.
And they might be fantastic YouTubers. It's just not for me. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah. And I think that's like one thing I would say about having watched your content over the years is like you definitely have a high level of authenticity that hasn't really fallen into the trap of faking stuff for views. And I've watched a lot of content creators just over the years that I watch them for a while and then I see them kind of going into that sort of taking
Over
down.
the
And
top.
if that's what they want to do,
Sure.
all the power to you. But it's like, that's not why I'm watching you though. So
Yeah, and
so that comes across in your content for sure.
I appreciate that, and I've worked hard, and I've ventured. There are times where I turn it on, like
Sure.
it's part of being an entertainer.
Yes.
But as the older I get, the less validation that I seek.
Sure. Yeah.
From the audience. It's like, hey, I have a hard time faking things. Much harder now than I used to years and years ago.
Right.
I have a harder time kind of really going over the top if it isn't something that is, sort of true. I have my moments, and those moments are hopefully authentic, or at least they come off as such. But yeah, I mean, times of I'm getting older, man. I've been doing this a long time. I ain't got the energy like I used to.
And I feel like because you've done it successfully for so long, it's like you don't feel, it's like you have, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you have a level of integrity that's like, I don't need to do that. Like, I know what I'm doing is working, so I don't need to do the fake thing or whatever. But like you said, you're a performer, so you do turn it on from time to time, and that's just to have fun, right? So there's no harm in that. On the topic of connecting with your viewers, so there's one quote I'd like to share from your book. So it says, there's another type of, because this is when you're talking about helping people in time of need. There's another type of giving that the public doesn't normally hear about. There could be a viewer or multiple viewers going through a very tough time in their lives, and watching you puts a smile on their face. And you continue talking about receiving emails and things about people telling you that you've kind of created like a safe sort of escape for them.
Yeah.
So back in this was September 24th, 2011. Okay. This was back when YouTube, I guess, had direct messaging. You could like direct message people. So I dug through my emails and I sent you an email on this date that said, because I was going through a brutal like breakup. I was just back living at home. Like I was going through a real shitty time when I found your stuff. I couldn't find my original email because it was a YouTube thing and I couldn't find like the sent message. But
that's right.
I told you, hey, I love watching your stuff. I think so. It actually happened that like this girl I was dating broke up with me while I was leaving to go on a work trip. And so it was like, I remember having I have my work laptop, and I was like, at night, I was just, I was so distraught. I was like, I just put like When Cheese Fails on, and I just like was like going to bed. I was like, put your videos on or whatever, just to like distract me or whatever, right? So I emailed you and told you this, and you actually wrote back, and this is what you said. Thanks a lot for your kind words. Yeah, I have had people write things like this to me once in a while. I wish you the best in getting through whatever it is that's going on in your life. Let me tell you something. Before I started doing Lag TV and solo channel stuff, I lost a 5-year relationship. My parents filed for divorce, and I dropped out of university. My life seemed like it was over to me, but I got through it, and now I'm doing something that I love. And life isn't perfect, but it got a hell of a lot better. I am sure things will work out for you, my friend. Keep your head up, buddy. Stay bouse. MaximusBlack. That was September 24th, 2011. And I got to tell you, man, that had such a big influence on me. And just, it was definitely the first time that I was like watching someone's content and like, I heard from them directly. You know what I mean? Like I sent you that expecting like, I don't even know if he's going to see this because it's some YouTube instant message thing or whatever. But then to hear you, and like you said, you opened up with me even in that email, just letting me know what you were going through and all that stuff, or what you had just gone through. It was such a big influence on me to a point that I got into streaming for a couple years and I started doing some Let's Plays, and I was very shamelessly emulating your style in my Let's Play videos, because that's all I knew.
Okay. Okay.
That you were the only Let's Play video series I was watching. And it kind of just, it gave me that creative itch of like putting something online. And I streamed for a couple years to like 10 to 15 regular viewers. Like it was just like having a couple friends over, basically. 10 friends on my couch watching me play a game. And when I eventually stopped that because I just didn't have as much time or whatever, it kind of led, all of that sort of led to me honestly developing this podcast, because I still had that itch to put something online. But it's like, I don't really have the time for like streaming as much anymore. But I want to put something out there or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so that actually is kind of what led to me doing this with my brother. It's because I just wanted to create something on some level. And yeah, I wanted to thank you for writing back to me back then. And that was when you didn't need to, you didn't know who I was. And I don't even know if I had found your stream yet at that point. So it's not like you would have like recognized my username or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that helped me a lot in that really shitty, dark time I was in. And it led to a lot of really cool things that I started, exposing myself to.
Well, first off, man, thank you so much for sharing that. And I didn't know. I'll be honest. I have wrote so many different messages and emails, and unfortunately, I probably don't see them all.
For sure.
But I have done those many, many times before. And honestly, man, it's kudos to you for reaching out and sharing, your troubles. And it's those, I'm not necessarily saying I get fueled by those types of stories, but if at anything, it makes me feel good that I can be a safe haven for somebody for 10 minutes, an hour, a week, a season, just to escape from whatever it is, because we're all human.
Yep.
I have my escapes too. There are content creators that I watch. There are movies and series that I try and lose myself in. There are video games that sometimes I'm running away from problems in my life and I need an outlet.
Yeah.
And when I hear those stories and those messages, it's almost impossible for me to read them and not say something.
Sure.
Because I've been in that, just like what I expressed to you, and those are all very real. Those things that you just read, that happened to me. Those are very real things. And, I don't necessarily look at it as, oh, this is my chance to connect with somebody, but it is my way to give back to them in some way, to say, hey, you're heard. I get it. I have been there. And, look at you now, and look, you reached out to me, a week ago or so.
Yeah.
And I never check the Lag TV emails until I'm trying to find games to cast.
Sure.
And I saw your email and I didn't know exactly who you were, but you said, hey, you're a fan of the stuff and be an honor to have you here. And I'm like, dude, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
I didn't want to try and guilt trip you, but like, I've been your fan for 13 years. So that's why I didn't lead with that.
No, it's all good. And dude, I never forget where I started, because at the end of the day, I'm a lucky guy that worked really hard and stayed consistent through the good and the bad and the ugly. Yeah. And if I have an opportunity to sit down with fine folks like you that really sparked my career and really supported me when I needed it the most. Yeah. Can't say no to that, man. So thank you for sharing and
for sure.
Really, man, it's cool to hear that kind of come full circle. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and that's when I started having guests on. I was like, you were like on my list. Like, eventually, I gotta see if I can get MaximusBlack on here, because I probably wouldn't be doing this without getting sparked by him back then. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And it's like you said, you didn't do that because you're trying to like get me as a viewer, but it's like you being authentic, right? And that's why it resonated so well with me. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, man.
I
Thanks for
can't believe
sharing.
I dug through my email and I couldn't,
I bet that's an old one.
because I remember you replied and I kept looking from like emails from you, but I was like,
Mm,
wait, no, it was like a YouTube message or something. So yeah, a little bit of digging, but it was still there. So I just
sweet, man.
couldn't see my original message, but it's fine. So in your book, you talk about the importance of hitting that go live button for the first time.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is such a psychological barrier for people starting out with either streaming or well, mostly for streaming? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's whether it's to go live or click the upload, you know what I mean? It's
Sure.
sort
Yeah.
of the same, it's sort of the same thing. And that is because we oftentimes as entertainers get in our own heads. You know, is my audio good enough? Is the
Sure.
video quality good enough? I don't like the sound of my voice. Like you know, how do I, and it becomes this this mental game. Like some people are just better at throwing themselves out there than
Yeah.
others. And some people need to kind of get their foot wet, you know. Some people jump in the pool or in the ocean, and then other people are, you know, just kind of put a toe in and be like, oh, it's cold, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, you gotta like splash somebody to like force them to get in type thing. It's sort of that analogy where, you know, there's a lot of people out there that I think would be great at content creation if they just hit the go live button
Yeah.
and just go and make those mistakes and tweak as you go. You know, this is an industry that is not necessarily about quality. It's, at least in 2024, you got to have some level of quality, but it's more about consistency and
Yeah.
authenticity. You know, you can have, dude, some of the biggest streamers in the world and YouTubers have dog shit audio and horrible video quality. But you know what they have? Character. They
Yeah.
have charisma. They have that thing. And, you know,
Yeah,
a lot.
I don't think I've ever clicked the follow button because I'm like, man, that background looks so sick. You know?
Exactly. It might catch your eye. It
Yeah.
might be the thing that like, whoa, that's really cool.
Right.
But it's not that thing like, oh man, you know, that background is, I gotta watch that every day. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, that audio quality is so crisp
Yeah.
that like I could go to sleep to this, like ASMR style.
Right.
You know, for the most part, it's just about hitting that go live button. And it can cause a lot of anxiety for people. They second guess themselves. They hit the live button and they see one viewer or
Yeah.
no view.
Talking
And
into
that
the
is
void can be discouraging.
very discouraging. And I've had many people before and after I published the book reach out and say, hey, you know, I'm streaming to 3 people and nobody is saying anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there trying to be entertaining and I'm not getting any feedback from anybody. And it's awkward and I don't know what I'm doing. And, you know, the thing is you just got to power through it.
Yeah.
And you just got to just be you. And if that means you got to be quiet for 20 minutes and not really say anything, then do that. Do whatever it takes to be out there. And the moments that you have to shine, recognize those. When that person does show up in chat and say, hey, give them your undivided attention.
Yeah, don't ignore them.
Don't ignore them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have seen so many new streamers and YouTubers and stuff that put something out and they finally get a bit of traction, but they don't interact.
Right.
They don't create the connection. They don't nurture the people that are going to help that algorithm to push you up through those stats to build that snowball. And when you do that, you are quite literally moving nowhere. It's like a hamster on a wheel. You just, and even successful streamers, we all get stagnate. Like there are times in which my viewers just tank, you know, and I'm on stream and I'm like, oh my God, I only got 200 viewers. Like, what the fuck? Like, dude, I can't make a living like this consistently. And I start getting into my head. It's like, what am I going to do? But you know what? Hey, when was the last time I streamed? How consistent have I been? When have I clicked the go live button? Was it at a weird time where all my competition was already live? You know, do I need to switch up my schedule a little bit? Do I need to upload it at a different time? what kind of mood am I in? Am I just streaming grumpy? Am I just not
Right.
pleasant to be around? I got to ask myself these things. What game am I playing? Is the game I'm even playing got traction? Like, I got to have realistic expectations. And it's the toughest thing as a streamer oftentimes is being critical of ourselves in terms of like being truthful.
Sure.
Sometimes we like to blame
Everything
anybody and
else.
everything except for ourselves,
Right.
right? Oh, my son had me up all night and I was tired and I just didn't want to stream and oh, this game is dead game. Oh, if only they would have done the right patch and there'd be more viewers here. And dude, we could go down that rabbit hole all
Sure.
day long. But in all reality, as a streamer or a content creator, it's on you. It's always on you. And there are ways to network and try and grow authentically through collaborations and different things like that. But ultimately, brother, it starts with hitting the go live button. And everything else beyond that, you can build upon, you can tweak, you can change. And the cold hard truth is, and I'm pretty sure that I probably mentioned it in the book. I haven't reread this in a few years, but not everybody is destined to be an entertainer.
Yeah.
Not everybody.
Some people just don't have that gear.
They don't have the gear.
Yeah.
Lude, dude, I don't have the gear to work construction.
Sure.
It's not. I have bitch hands. I can't. I'm a keyboard warrior. You're
a soft boy.
I don't have that. My old man, he has that.
Yeah.
Right? But he's horrible with technology. Like, when he's on his cell phone, his font is like 23. It looks like, a letter is the size of the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just certain people are better at certain things, but that doesn't mean that you still can't do it and have fun. But sometimes you just got to be realistic about what you're willing to do and where your capabilities are, and maybe what it's going to take to learn the things needed, whether that is communication skills, whether that is, actual physical skills at playing a game. These are all things that everybody can improve on, but you got to want it.
Yeah.
You gotta just, it's got to be in there, right?
And
not everybody has it.
And I think you got to know that it's not free. Like,
correct.
Just because you're streaming on Twitch doesn't mean you're going to get 10,000 followers. Like, that's not, there's a big gap between those two things of hitting the go live and reaching that sort of following. So yeah, you have to, like you said, you have to be realistic about what you want to get and how you're going to get it.
Yeah. I mean, I love space. But like, I can't become an astronaut.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I might be able to like join a space school and learn about space and maybe even get in one of those machines that like, puts 1,000 G-force on me and stuff. But I ain't never going to space, bro.
Right.
That's something you know what I mean? Like, I just have to be realistic. Just because somebody that you envy how they live or the lifestyle that they have or whatnot doesn't necessarily mean that is the right thing for you.
Right.
Some people need a 9 to 5. They need to be told to be at work at 9 and you take your break at 12 and you're off at 3.
Right.
And you have the weekends off. And there is nothing wrong with that at all. And some people just cannot operate like that. Some people just cannot follow schedules. They're always late for meetings. They're you know what I mean? They can't take orders from somebody. Maybe it's an ego problem. Maybe it's an authority issue. Whatever the case may be, you just got to know your personality. You got to know what clicks for you. And ultimately, it all starts with the go live button. And when you do it long enough, you're going to find out what you're good at, what you're not good at, and everything else in between.
Yeah, and having that self-awareness, like you said, when something does catch on or you have those highlight moments, it's like you gotta have those self-awareness to jump on that stuff.
Exactly, to know what the opportunity is and not waste it. There are so many talented streamers and YouTubers that was striking gold. Maybe they had a certain series, maybe they had a game that was like blowing up and they started getting traction, but they decided that they didn't want to put in the hours when the lightning was striking. They decided that, hey, I wanted to go and hang out with the boys and do whatever, or go out with the girls, or I wanted to go on that vacation that I already had booked 3 months ago, but
Right.
suddenly this life-changing opportunity has presented itself, and there are small windows, small pockets, and you have to identify those and go all in. And hopefully, and it's still not guaranteed,
Yeah.
but it might be that thing that you need to light that fire to get the whole thing ablaze, right?
Yeah, there was, if I can, I know I wrote it down. There was a quote you had. I know. Oh, luck is just the byproduct of when preparation meets opportunity. That was from your book, and it's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, just being ready to jump on that, and having sort of just being ready to recognize when those occur and know how to jump on them. Yeah.
Correct. Because the thing that I've learned and I've seen through thousands of content creators is when you click that go live button, nobody just starts with 10,000 followers.
Right.
Nobody starts with 100,000 or a million.
Yeah.
Not even 100. Very few people, unless you've got a large circle of friends and they're all subscribing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which means they all had to start somewhere.
Yep.
And at the bottom. And what content creation is, it's consistency, consistency, consistency until one thing sparks. And that one thing, that opportunity and preparation, and you have to jump on it.
Yeah.
And when you jump on it, you give yourself that level up. And then you do it all over again. And then you wait for that next thing to go. Then you do it again and again and again. And eventually you'll hit that I keep saying snowball, but when that snowball is rolling down the hill, then it becomes easier. Those levels become easier and easier to climb up. But the problem is if you're not ready to jump on those, people go a year without nothing. And they go, you know what? I spent 10 hours on this one video and it got 10 views. But yet they put out a video that they did in 5 minutes and it got 100,000 views. And they go, what the fuck? And the thing is sometimes the algorithm, just the right place at the right time with the right topic is that thing. And when you get that thing, it's magic. And that's what builds careers. It's not you don't wake up and you're famous. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's called a grind for a reason, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that new streamers are kind of like unpaid interns in your book. Why do you think the mentality is so important in those? Why do you think having that mentality is so important when you're someone who's in the early days of starting or kind of building their online brand? And I think you touched on that a little bit already, but yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I think what I was getting at is if you go into this not expecting to get paid,
right?
If you go in this not having unrealistic expectations, the life of a content creator is more mental than it is anything else.
Right.
It is a psychological warfare with yourself.
Yeah.
It really, truly is. Do I really the kids are running around, the wife needs this, I need that, family issues, maybe you got a day job, work, everything. The last thing sometimes we want to do is put on a smile.
Right.
And go out there and expect success. And I think if you go in with that intern, that unpaid intern, that hungry, I got something to prove mentality, you are not going to have those mental breakdowns where you go in expecting. It's like going into your favorite restaurant and you're like, you know what? I'm so used to getting this pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes, and they're amazing. And you know what you're getting every time you go in there. But if you go to a new restaurant and they serve pancakes and you go in thinking, well, this better be as good as what I normally what I normally eat, and it ain't hitting the same, you're going to be upset. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to feel like this is a letdown. And the biggest thing is, I don't know why I made that analogy, but the biggest
well, it's
thing
like having the right expectation, right? Why would you have that expectation of going to the other place and it
Correct.
taste the same.
You
I was
can't just
following
watch
you.
yeah, you can't watch my stream, somebody that's been doing it for 13 years, and expect to turn it on and get 100 subscribers that are paying $4.99 a month in a day. And you know, this took a decade plus to build up. This
Right.
isn't people only see some people only see the results. They don't see the grind.
Yeah.
The ones that have been around a long time, they see it, right? And they're happy for your success because they know the work that went into it.
Yeah.
If you go into it and you think, you know what? Hey, if I don't get paid a cent, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay. How can you be disappointed because you're probably not going to make money anyway?
Yeah.
You know, hey, if I go in there and I expect, 3 followers, I think it's a pretty reasonable expectation. If you're creating a whole bunch of content and you've already set yourself up, you're in a category that has a decent following, and you stream for 10 hours, 8 hours, setting a small goal, a small one. We're not talking, oh, today I'm getting 50.
Right.
Something just tangible.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe even, hey, you know what? Realistically, I'm not going to get a single follower for a month, but I'm still going to do this. And I'm going to, while I have no viewers, it's okay for me to suck. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm going to be the shittiest streamer I'm ever going to be right now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably a good thing that I have no views.
Right.
I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then eventually,
that's your training time.
Yes. This is your internship.
Right.
Work. Get to work. Learn the job.
Yeah.
See if you're good at it. If you are good at it and you are consistent, you will get some kind of traction eventually.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get lucky, right place, right time, and it happens in a month.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens in 2 days. You get a random host from some large streamer, and you just so happen to be the next big thing that nobody has seen yet. These are anomalies, but it can happen.
Yeah.
But that's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, you don't want to expect that to happen. Yeah.
No, there's no streamer out there coming to save you,
Right.
to make you, you know what I mean? To put you in the spotlight for what? They owe you nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Go out there and earn it. And if you go in there with this expectation of an internship, then it's hard to come out feeling let down because you already know you're going to work not getting paid. You're
Right.
there to learn.
Right.
And
that's actually a good point too about setting those sort of like very realistic and small goals, because like when my brother and I started doing this podcast, I was like, look, we definitely won't get like any views for the first episode. like no one knows who we are, whatever. So it was like, let's just commit to doing 6. We'll do 6 episodes. I'll figure out like a sort of topic outline for 6 episodes, over the course of whatever it took us, like 4 months or something. Because my brother's very busy, so we can't do it weekly. But we committed, like, yeah, we're no matter what the view count is, we're doing 6 episodes. And then by the time we got to there 6, we still don't have a very huge viewer count, but we just like love doing it so much that I was like, oh, we're just gonna keep going. But if I didn't have that goal of 6, I might have been discouraged, when those first couple ones come out and I, get 3 or 4 views on it or whatever.
Correct.
So it's just like, yeah, having those goals is just like, it's enough for you to also like figure out if you want to keep doing it, I think is a valid part of that too. Right.
100%. And you'll be able to see like, hey, how do me and my brother gel?
Right.
What's the personality like here? Like, I mean, obviously he's your brother, so the dynamic, you grew up with each other, but what is this going to look like?
Yeah.
What's these personalities going to be? What are we going to talk about? How's the flow going to be? Like,
yeah.
Are we even going to like this? Like,
right.
Maybe one of us wants to dip off after these 6 episodes. Maybe I still love it enough to keep going. Who knows, right? But you won't know until you set a realistic goal and you follow through. And then you reassess. How did that go?
Yeah.
What can we do to tweak things to make things better? Adam and I still, to this day, tweak things.
Right.
All the time. We've just started again on YouTube now. We're uploading like 7 days a week. We just hired on a thumbnail person.
Mm-hmm.
I've been studying the analytics on the back end, and now we're starting to see new traction that haven't had in 7 years.
Right.
And it's because we're hungry. We want to do this.
Yeah.
We had a long enough break to do our own things, and we've we've lived, we've done this for a long time, and now we want to come back together and relive some nostalgia here, and have, you know, give the viewers that a trip back down a nostalgia lane where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, and not only just for them, but for us. You know, at the end of the day, I love Adam. I like playing games with him. You know, he's married. He just got married 2 weeks ago.
I saw that. Yep.
You know, I'm married. I've been married to be 10 years next week, and I have a son, and our lives, you know, as we grow old, as everybody watching this, you know, we start to sometimes grow apart, not have the same, maybe interests or time. And it's like, hey, you know what? Let's commit together. Let's do this thing because we want to, and let's see what we can do with it again, right? Not because we have to,
No.
we want to. And when you want to do it, the audience feels it, man.
Yeah.
They're like, dude,
Well, that's
these
that
guys
authenticity
are
that we were talking about. Yeah.
And when we burned it from the both ends years ago, we were miserable. Like, we were just doing it for a paycheck. We were doing it out of necessity.
Yeah.
We did it out of guilt because we didn't want to let down our viewers, because we just didn't love what we were doing anymore. We found different passions, but we've had enough time apart from that now we're like, man, we're ready for this again.
Yeah,
Let's go.
when I started seeing like When Cheese Fails come popping back up in my you know, my subscription feed or whatever, you know, recently, I was like, I could get back into this. Like, yeah, give me more of these.
Yeah, it's fun, man, and we're having a good time.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's like you said, it's the authenticity that really sort of shines through, and it's because, as you mentioned, it's like people can tell when you want to do it and when you're enjoying doing it, right?
For sure.
And that's what those early days of like When Cheese Fails that I found. You know, and even like your Let's Plays, like as frustrating as it is having you not read the on-screen instructions, it was so
man, bro, I get yelled at all the time for that shit. Even my wife, I never read directions. I'm so bad for that. I get shit on daily.
But that's why it's like, but that's who Jeff is. Like, that's what he's going to be, and that's why it's going to be fun to watch, right?
And Adam's the opposite. Adam is the guy that'll sit there for an hour on a screen, or when he's creating a character, he'll sit there for 6 hours nitpicking an eyebrow and an ear and how thick the chin is and the hairline and all the clothes. And here I am, you know, okay,
ready to
brown
go.
skin, bulky, this, that, enter, let's play. That's, you know, but that's how I am.
Yeah.
So why do anything any other way?
Exactly. Right? And it's one of those, it's like one of those endearing things that like kept me coming back to those videos and stuff too, right? It's because, it's when you're at your most authentic is the way like that stuff shines through the most in your content, which is it's why I was saying before, it's like you never really fell into the trap of just being fake for the views, right? So that's an important part of it.
Sometimes I wish I was, because, you know, you can play the game and get much more, you know, successful by doing that. But at the same time,
I thought it was fun to watch, though.
And I don't need it. Yeah.
So one philosophy that you talk about a lot in your book, and I really, this is one that I really had to think of, because like I have a hard time promoting myself, even on when we're doing podcasts. Like I have a hard time asking for the subscribe and all this stuff. And so it's a thing that I'm trying to take more, like reflect on more. Your philosophy of never apologize for running a successful business is one thing you say a lot. Why do you think that is a difficult mental block for streamers and content creators?
Yeah, I think that there's a stigma of people being a sellout.
Sure.
You see this a lot. I mean, you see it with bands. You know, oh, you guys are fucking sellouts. Like you've gone poppy for radio. Like I remember when I listened to your music and you had a different sound, and it was like, you know, underground, and you spoke to me, and now it's this garbage, you know. Or you create this business that maybe is a family ran business, and then you sell it to a larger corporation, and you know, people say, oh, you sold out. Now that business is ran by this corporation that is all about maximum profits, and what have you done? Or in the streaming world, it's like, hey, Adam and I just did a promo for Ant Legion, which is like a mobile game, which I'm going to keep it a buck. It's not really something that I would, see the game and be like, dude, I need to jump all over this. But at the same time, if it's a game that we can get behind and play and enjoy and then share with the community and say, hey, listen, if y'all want to support us, and you don't necessarily want to give us money, like, hey,
Right.
for one, you can download this free game, play for 20 minutes, and Adam and I get a kickback. If you like the game, keep playing. If you don't like the game, uninstall it. And by
Sure.
the way, you don't have to do it. This is just an option.
Right.
I'm not forcing you to do anything. Oh, hey, by the way, if you want to support the stream, you can become a paid subscriber for the low price of $4.99. If you have a Twitch Prime sub and you enjoy the stream, you watch it quite a bit, I'd appreciate it if you hook me up. These sort of things, ultimately, if you are providing, like I'm streaming 250 hours a month. At the end of the day, I'm not doing this for free.
Right.
I love this, but hey, I got a wife and son upstairs.
Yep.
I got a family to feed. I got power bills to pay. I got like every other person. Nobody goes to work and expect to do it for free. But with that being said, I am in a freelance world. I'm in an entertainment business where it is free to watch and nobody has to pay
Right.
anything. People can use ad block and not support me. People can, watch my stream for 200 hours and never subscribe, never donate, never play a sponsored game, never buy a sponsored chair, never buy the book. And dude, I'm not going to cuss any of those people out.
Right.
I'm not going to think any less of them. That's their decision. It's up to me to create the value.
Sure.
It's up to me to show them, hey, people, when they fuck with you and they're really behind you, they want a reason to support you. It's up to you to give them those reasons, to give them those options, or at least present them. And then ultimately, it's up to them if they want to, hit that Patreon, if
Right.
they want to do these things. I never and never will talk down to somebody, call somebody cheap. Fucking at the end of the day, I create free content for the masses. This is what I signed up for.
Yep.
If I don't like that, I need to get the fuck out of the industry.
Yeah, you're in the wrong
right?
business.
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
Right. But also those views, those are the things that snowball and propel me up. Even
Sure.
the ones that don't, just watching supports me.
Yeah. Good point.
Those numbers are the analytics that those sponsors use to give me my rate. Those people that are in there help me move up on the categories. Instead of 10 viewers, now I'm above everybody that is below 10.
Right.
Just because they're not actually physically giving you money doesn't mean that they're not valuable. Anybody that wants to spend their hard-earned time, which we all have a finite amount of it, and they're willing to give you their undivided attention, or maybe you're just background noise while they're working out, or you're on a TV in the background somewhere, that's support.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be monetary. So I am never apologetic about running a business, because at the end of the day, man, I have to provide.
Yeah.
But I also have to present my audience with enough quality stuff where it's where it feels as though what I am presenting doesn't come off like it isn't deserved, right? And to some people, it may not be, right? Some people are like, I ain't giving you nothing, bro.
Right.
I don't owe you nothing. And they're right. They don't.
It does. I think it does speak to like the confidence you have in your content. If you do shout out those things that how the different ways they could support you. It's like, yeah, because you have confidence in what you're putting out there, that you think there's value there, right? And so that also just helps to sort of, I don't know, validate your brand almost. It's like, yeah, I agree with what I'm putting out there is worth money if you want to support me in one of these multiple ways, and you don't have to apologize for that.
And dude, I have passed down so many opportunities. It's not even funny.
Sure.
If it doesn't make sense, then I don't promote it.
Yeah.
Right? Period. Right? But, you know, if a company is going to pay me, or a video game is going to offer to pay me a substantial amount of money, and it's not an unethical game, or it's not tarnishing the brand, or it feels gross, like I'm asking everybody to pay $59.99 to play a game that I would never spend
Sure.
$59.99 on,
Right.
then, you know, I'm totally fine. If it's a free to play game and the rate is something that, like, you know, you just can't refuse, and it's playable, and it's there's an enjoyment to it. You know, when it comes to sponsorships, I always have this philosophy. You know, always, if you can find some really good, always point out the great things about the game, about the game or the product, even though there might be some, you know, parts of it that you don't necessarily are thrilled about. But then again, you don't lie to your community. You say,
Right.
hey, you know what? I'm not super enthused about, like, giving some constructive criticism in a way that is respectful to the sponsor
Yep.
and is being truthful to the audience, but then highlighting the things that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
And the thing is not everybody has the same taste as me. Something that I may find boring or not fun, somebody else might find very exciting and a good time. You know, I have done sponsorships where I'm like, dude, this is going to be a grand slam, dude. How can they not like this?
Sure.
And it just flopped. Like, dude, I ain't touching that. You know what I mean? And then there's things where I'm like, dude, I'm not sure about this. Like this Ant Legion game that I just did. I'm like, well, you know, the community wants to support us. It's a free to play game. They play 20 minutes. They can support. Dude, it turned a whole community. They all got together in Discord groups. They started bringing hundreds of people together. They're all working together. They're bringing the community. They're getting on voice call. They're helping each other out, all in support of us. But then next thing you know, they're having a good damn time.
Yeah.
And that's not even something that I would personally do. But they found that. And now that Discord channel has turned into the official Lag TV Discord, which we never have one. We never had one before. So, you know, you just never know. But you just got to be truthful with yourself. If it feels yucky and you're like, dude, no, then don't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just don't do it.
And you know, we've used the word like being authentic a lot in this, but it's like that is truly why I believe you have been such a consistent sort of success story in doing what you're doing, is because you have that sort of integrity where you don't just do that stuff for the paycheck, right? And I think your community sees that, like they and that's why you have, because you have a very dedicated and loyal community. I know a lot of them have been around for years and years and years.
A long time, yeah.
And you don't get that if you're someone who just blows whatever way goes whatever way the wind's blowing, right?
Yeah, because if you do that, it might last for a little while, but there will be no real longevity, right?
No.
And listen, I've had my missteps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a perfect person. I have definitely taken shots and they've fallen, but that's part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of content creation. You know, I've come up with series that, like, I thought was going to be amazing, that I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it just bombs.
Right.
And nobody's fucking with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, damn. And then there are things where I come up with an idea, like When Cheese Fails, and it just changes my life.
Yeah.
You
Out
know,
of nowhere.
It's all about, it's all about just trying things, seeing what sticks, and trying to have a good time in the process, and hopefully that translates.
Yeah, and it's almost sometimes it's like taking, like, not getting in your own way. Like, if you have an idea for like I don't know if like this series will make sense to anyone, it's like, well, just try it, and it's like, because it might resonate with someone in a way you didn't expect. Right. And, you know, it's like kind of like doing these interviews. It's like, I didn't start this podcast to interview other people. It was just to chat with my brother, because we would always wait until Christmas and then like have a 4-hour phone call to talk about all the games we played all year. So it's like, no, now we can just do it every couple of weeks. But then out of that, I was like, you know, I had told you before we started recording, it's like one of my content creator friends that I watch a lot, is like, I asked her to come on and interview, and I was like, holy shit, I liked doing that a lot. I want to do more
Yeah.
of that and just start
There
sending
you go,
emails
right?
out or whatever. So
Exactly, right? And you know, I'm on your podcast, right? And I'll do everything I can to bring my community over to check out, and you might gain some new followers through that. And this is the collaboration.
yeah,
This is just how this all works. And you know what? Sometimes making content that you really enjoy and it bombs, there's nothing wrong with that either. Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, if there's something that you want to do and it makes you happy, then just do it.
yeah.
Because sometimes you can do stuff that is very successful and you're dead inside because you're just over it.
Yeah.
You're just over it, right? It's like, man, this is my bread and butter, but I wish I didn't have to do this. I really wish they would just go do that, watch this other thing.
Right.
I think it's just as good as this. Why aren't people watching this? What the hell, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to do things for you to
Yeah.
have that fun, that reminder that this isn't just about maximizing analytics and revenue.
Right.
You know,
You gotta still enjoy it.
you still got to enjoy it, brother. You still got to, right?
My brother and I are massive Final Fantasy nerds, and when we played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I was like, I don't know how many people are going to want to hear us talk about that game's ending for 8 hours, but we're going to do it because we just love that game so much. And it was like a 7.5 hour episode that I cut up. But it's like, I don't care if this is our least viewed video because I just want to talk to him about this game for
you did
hours.
it for you guys.
Right.
Yeah, you did it for you guys. Who cares? You were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Why not hit that record button? Hit that
Exactly.
go live button.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jeff, pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about from your book and just your streaming career. I really appreciate you joining me for this chat. This was a really, really good time for me. Anyone that's curious, you can check out Jeff's book, The Grind, as he mentioned at the top of the podcast. I'll put links to that stuff down below as well. And other than that, where can everyone find you? I know you've been checking out Stormgate recently, so I don't know if you're going to be doing more videos on that, but let's just let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on twitch.tv/MaximusBlack. I also stream a bit on Kick, so kick.com/MaximusBlack. I don't really post too much on my solo YouTube channel, so don't even bother going there. But you could definitely go check out Leg TV. So that is youtube.com/Life'sAGlitchTV. We post there, like I said, just about every single day. Yeah, you can go check us out. We do tons of RTS content. If you watch my personal streams, I'm a GTA RPer. And I've been doing that for the last 5.5 years. Yeah, it's fun to watch. So definitely come check it out. And if you guys are coming over from my community, make sure you subscribe over here and check out some of the other interviews and content here. And I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, man.
I wish other people, you know, would shoot their shot, right?
Sure.
And you know, I how could I say no? I'm so happy I came here. You know, I had a super long day today, and I'll be honest, I forgot until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm like, oh man, I was like,
man, should I have messaged him yesterday to remind him just in case?
Yeah, but... no. I mean, I ended up remembering because I was out at the racetrack today, and then on my way home, I'm like, oh shit, I got a podcast to do here in like 4 hours. I better get home. And I'm so happy that I did this, and you brought it back for me, and I haven't had an opportunity to really think or talk about the book. And you know, I thank you as well for being a viewer all these years and starting your passion and inviting me here, man. I think it's more of an honor for me than it probably is for you, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank
man.
you.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for your time. This was a great chat, and yeah, everyone go check out Jeff. You know, you may not put the chainmail on anymore, but you still got some entertaining shit out there, dude. So yeah, let's give him a follow. And yeah, again, thanks once more for joining me, Jeff.
Quite welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.